Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hot Takes and Beer Breaks. This is the podcast where we have some hot takes, but more beer breaks. I'm joined as always by Justin and Jason. How are you guys doing today?
Hello.
I'm good. Doing good.
I'm here.
Doing
Good
all right?
things. Big things.
Thriving.
All our listeners can follow us on, they can listen to us on any podcast platform. They can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Hot Takes and Beer Breaks. So if,
Seem a little
Yeah,
distracted
we're-
over there, John. What's going on?
yeah,
Yeah, I know,
nothing.
right?
Nothing.
Somebody doing laundry?
No.
Did you not
Someone's
say
trying
the
to clean
studio
up
is
theirs after-
closed?
I told the studio was closed.
Did you not put the red light on that you're
I
recording?
put the red light on.
Rookie
and
move.
They don't listen to me at
To
all.
all our listeners, John is flustered. It is day
He's very
703 without haircuts. So
He's
I'm
very
just-
upset.
I have to wait until June to get a haircut,
Oof.
so this is gonna be rough.
yeah,
Well,
it's looking rough.
Tell me about it.
This week we're going to talk about the Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, the 10-part series that came out on ESPN. We all watched it. I think we all enjoyed it. Did you guys enjoy it?
Thoroughly. Very thoroughly.
Very, actually. I'm surprised on how much I actually liked it.
Yeah, Justin, you're not the biggest sports fan out of
I
the
am
three
the
of us.
hugest sports fan.
You're the hugest sports fan.
Well,
So-
to be honest, I know more players from when Jordan played than who play today. So if
Okay,
anything,
that's
this
fair.
was made for me.
That's fair.
All right, so we're going to talk about The Last Dance, give our surprise reactions. So spoilers if you haven't watched it. If you don't really care, you just want to know what we think about it, go ahead and listen. I'm not going to, fault you guys for that, but spoilers ahead for The Last Dance.
I mean,
And then,
there's not really many spoilers.
Yeah,
You gotta
I
spoil
mean-
the fact that they won 6 championships.
Whoa,
That's common knowledge. Everybody knows that they
whoa,
won 6
calm down.
championships.
I'm only on season 5. I don't know what's happening.
Oh,
so
sorry.
let's get into it. What were some of the biggest takeaways you took from the series? Like, what made you, like, what surprised you? What was, I don't know, shocking, I
So-
guess?
What definitely surprised me, I think we talked about it before, was, I don't want to say pettiness of Jordan, but like, that's the only word I can really use.
If it
Petty
wasn't
win.
Michael Jordan, it would be entirely pettiness.
Yeah, like when the Bulls drafted Tony Kukoc, and
Yeah, him and-
he was
him and-
overseas, and the GM was like big on him, like they loved him, talked him up, and so when they went to Croatia or they went to the Olympics, Jordan and Pippen, a part of the '92 Dream Team, fantastic team, they were like, no, he's ours. We're gonna embarrass the shit out of him,
Yeah.
and they
yeah,
did
that
in the first game, and it was bad.
That was petty.
Yeah, but just like all throughout when somebody oh fuck, who else was it? There was another player when they said like, oh, like good game, Mike, and like as a joke or like sarcastically because he played terrible. The next game he went out and dropped like 50 on him, just because saying like, yeah, fuck you, I can do whatever I want.
Part of me thinks Jordan kind of has like an ability to lie to himself, you know what I mean? Like, or exaggerate certain things. Like we all know the story about Jordan getting cut from the basketball team in high school, but really he just wasn't a varsity player. He was JV, and obviously that made
Well, they
him
didn't
work
even-
hard.
They didn't even say JV. They said he just didn't make the varsity team as a sophomore.
Yeah, but wasn't the story was growing up that he was cut from the basketball team and
Yeah, he
had
was
to
cut
try
from
out
his high
again?
school team. I mean, he still could have
Yeah.
been cut his freshman year.
Yeah, but he played basketball in high school. Like, he was just on the JV team until his junior year, right? Or senior year.
I don't know.
Just the way Jordan made it seem is, I got cut, I got disrespected, I
Whoa,
was
who's-
good, but I got.
I don't
think
I
Jordan
don't think
made that,
that
that
was
thing.
him. I think it was a lot of like around him that it got over exaggerated
Yeah, but I mean,
over the course of what 30 years, 30, 40 years now we're looking at. Holy shit, that was a long time.
Sounds
What
more
I mean-
impressive when you have the underdog.
yeah, but what I mean is, I think he looks for certain things to motivate him, and he might exaggerate certain things to kind of make himself better. You know what I mean? So when a player kind of talks trash, or maybe doesn't say anything that's super negative, but he'll take it the extra mile because he's a great player and he needs something to give him that kind of edge to go out there and kill his enemies. No? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, also the story about the pizza. So that came out. That was one of the final episodes. Was they were talking about the flu game, the famous Jordan flu game was
Where
actually
was that
food.
again? Where were they playing?
They were Yeah, they were in Utah. They
They
were
were in
playing the
Utah.
Jazz, and that was the finals, right? It was game 5 or 4.
Game 5.
Game 5 in Utah, right?
Yeah.
So Jordan came out on the documentary. So normally, the story we've been going on the whole time is we thought he had the flu, and that was what it was reported on back in the day. Jordan comes out in the documentary, says no, I think it was food poisoning. Claims there was like 5 guys that delivered a pizza, and that he ate the pizza all by himself and he got sick. He had food poisoning. And now the person who delivered the pizza is claiming that no, I made the pizza myself. He had money on the game, was betting for the Bulls, is actually a huge Jordan fan. So kind of says that story. Now, I don't know who to believe. I'm not saying that Jordan's
That's
a
just
liar.
something someone who poisoned a pizza would say.
But I mean,
Well, it also came out because the reason I say this is Pat McAfee talked about it, I think yesterday or earlier in the week. I just
yes,
happened to
yeah.
see a clip of it. And he was like, yeah, like, is this guy like telling the truth or like, is he like covering his ass? Because like, he's probably told this story all the time. Oh, yeah, I delivered pizza to Jordan that night, like this whole big thing. And then it comes out food poisoning. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I had nothing to do with that. Like, that wasn't me. Like, I didn't poison the pizza. I swear, I promise. Like, was he just trying to cover his ass?
I mean, it's well noted when you're in the visitor team like city, you don't order food from those places. Like if you're the visiting team, they'll do anything to try and win.
Yeah, but
So
he
I I have a
didn't
tendency.
order it. I don't think Michael Jordan's calling up himself when he had his trainer and all his buddies in there
Here's the
that
problem I have
weren't
with
on the
that. I
team.
think back then you're a diehard fan. You know where the visiting team is playing, and at 1 a.m. you get a call in for a large pizza, and you get there. I don't think it's a stretch to take a guess that the Chicago Bulls, someone on the Chicago Bulls, is ordering a pizza. You know what I mean? Like it may not be Michael Jordan, and it might have just been a happy coincidence to the person if they did, poison the
Yeah, if
food.
they did
Turns
mean
out they were
to.
just spitting on every pizza that went to some hotel in the city. So it was just mass
They
epidemic
just
of food
guessed.
poisoning.
Well, I'm sure they knew, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like it's the Marriott here in this city. They're staying, and then they get a call, and they're like, "This is probably a Chicago Bulls player ordering this food." You know what I mean?
Who
So I
knows?
wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, maybe it didn't happen. Maybe Jordan just happened to have food poisoning, or he just
Yeah,
happened to
like
be sick.
it could happen.
Could have
I
been
feel sick every
some.
time I get a pizza outside of the New York, New Haven area. It's
Well,
garbage.
some people
Yeah,
suggested hungover, that he was hungover, he was drinking the whole time. I don't know about that. That's a
yeah,
completely
I doubt
outlandish
that.
conspiracy theory, but that's also, I guess, possible. But maybe he just exaggerated the situation. Maybe a guy just delivered a pizza and he said there's 5 guys and they tried to poison me, and it motivated him to play better. I don't know. That's what I felt like. Is Michael Jordan always looks like for the edge? You know what I mean? To feel that he got slighted. He didn't get the MVP that year, so he wanted to go out and beat him. Horace Grant was playing on the other team, so he wanted to beat them. Anything like that.
Just imagine though if Michael
Horace Grant did
Jordan
not
wasn't
play for
Michael
the
Jordan.
Horace Grant did not play for the Jazz, John.
No, I didn't say Jazz. I was saying like one of the reasons he was playing for the Magic at the time, so he was playing for the
Yeah.
other team, and he wanted to go out and kill the Magic in that playoff series.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still referring to
No, I'm
that.
sorry. I didn't mean to say the Utah Jazz. I'm sorry if it meant that way, but I meant just those instances where he's talking about his motivation for taking
Yeah.
on another,
I mean, everybody has that. Like they always have subtle nuances, like subtle nods, like to the competitiveness that okay, you know what? Yeah, like fuck this guy. Like
I mean,
I
every
want to
single,
prove I'm better than him. Like every athlete has
Jordan's on
that.
some other level.
Yeah, Jordan's on a
yeah,
ridiculous level.
yeah, exactly. I think there's very few athletes that are out there that you would say have that kind of competitive advantage where it seems
Yeah.
like they get into another mode
That
and they just
he's
take
straight
over.
up a killer. Like
Yeah,
if the sport was like UFC, he would literally murder people.
he might. I mean,
Like
he
he has no
definitely looked like he
remorse.
was going out there, but he also seems like he got along with a lot of the players, and every single player really
The
respected
ones
him.
that were good and did what he needed them to do.
Now, Justin, did you know about the Bad Boy Pistons? I'm curious. Did you know about like what
I
was
knew
going on at
I
that
knew
time?
it was like rougher back in the day.
But did you
I
know
vaguely
about
remember something about the Pistons.
you vaguely remember?
Yeah.
Now, Jason, do you think that Isaiah Thomas got left off the Dream Team because of just Michael Jordan, or what do you think happened back then? Because that was kind of something that I guess I mean,
I
we
feel
all
like it
knew
had to
that.
do with a lot of things. Like, yeah, he's a very good basketball player. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
But I mean, they even brought to like the continuity and like
Of-
chemistry of the team. Like, that's really important, especially for guys that basically don't play together all year round. Like, they just play against each other. Like, that's a
Didn't he have
very
beef
important
with
factor to
everyone?
have.
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaiah.
Yeah, Isaiah Thomas. Yeah, like it wasn't just like him and Jordan just didn't get along. But no, it was like him and Jordan, like and like Bird and like Magic. Like there was a lot like going between all the players, not just one.
I think that was the surprising thing, is because for years we always thought Michael was the reason why Isaiah Thomas wasn't on Dream Team, but when it came out in the documentary that no, Magic and Larry Bird also hated him, and that they were
Yeah,
they also contributed for the reason Isaiah Thomas was left off. Then it's just,
potentially.
if you don't want to play with that guy, like the USA Dream Team's obviously going to
So,
go out there and kill everyone anyway. You didn't need Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, they were going to be unstoppable regardless.
Yeah, and if you're having a
yeah,
good time,
who are the
why?
guards on that dream team? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, if there's any chance of trouble, why even bother?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I wish they kind of went more into the dream team, because that seems like a fun situation. But they also cover that in other
It's
documentary
not
series.
called the Dream Dance. It's called the Dream.
That's true. The
Team.
last,
And I mean,
Last Dance.
it's not like they snubbed him for like a lesser guard of any sorts, because the other four guards on the team are probably top three in their position.
yeah.
Who are
So
they?
Magic Johnson, a very great point guard. John
yeah, man.
Stockton, another very great point guard. Jordan and Clyde Drexler.
I know all those players.
Well, that era was great. It was a great era of basketball.
Yeah, it was just fun basketball.
There was Do you guys think Jordan would have been a great baseball player if he kept with it?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Because he had
Yeah.
Terry Francona as
Yeah,
his
Terry.
mentor.
Yeah.
And
And they
even
even
Terry
said, like,
said,
towards the end of the year, he started to get it.
Yeah.
Like, he
Yeah.
batted over 200, which shocked a lot of people and drove in, maybe, I think he said, like, what, 50, 60 runs, something like that?
I think it was 50. They said, but he was one of the only rookies to ever do that, I think, right?
Yeah.
No one had
And I
really
mean,
come in.
the man was
Yeah, it
out of
blew my
baseball for
mind
like
that
6 years.
the reason
And they
he
just put him
jumped right
straight
into
into
like
double
AAA, or was it AA or AAA?
double A. Double.
Mm.
Double A instead of going to like, was it single A?
Yeah, they normally go rookie ball or like single A, low A, like
Which
shit like
he
that.
probably would have had a faster progression
D-
if he did that. But they're like, yeah, our
Potentially.
stadiums can't handle people going to see
Yeah.
Michael Jordan play
Yeah.
single
They
A
had
ball.
they had no media presence.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
So
And
I
it's
mean, it's the same
also,
thing with like Tebow now.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
then when he was in double A, the Mets sold out every double A game. When he's in triple A, they've sold out every triple A game because people come to watch him play because it's I don't know, it's over. I mean, he's no Michael Jordan, but like
yeah,
it's still
it's still a
weird
name.
fact. Yeah,
And he has Jesus.
that too.
Well, also, like, baseball players kind of take years to develop before they really are ready for the pros. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, most of them.
he probably definitely would have made it to the pros at least.
Yeah.
Whether or not he would have been a great baseball player or even a good baseball player, I think he would have at least played in the MLB.
It definitely would have been interesting if there was no strike in '94 to see him just play baseball and not go back to basketball and see how different the end of the '90s were for basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
The Knicks might have a championship,
I mean,
Oh wait, no.
which is a very. This is when they were really good. Like they would have probably had one. The Suns could have gotten one. The Jazz, the Blazers. Like there were so many very good teams there that the Bulls just ran through.
Well, that's one of the arguments for Jordan being the greatest basketball player of all time, is he played in an era where there's so many great basketball players, and he kept so many players from getting a ring. Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, John Stockton,
Malone, Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people that don't have
Wait,
rings.
what team was
just
Patrick Ewing on?
the Knicks.
The
Just
Knicks.
want to bring that up.
That's fair.
Reggie Miller.
Team too.
Does Reggie Miller have a ring? He has a ring, right?
I don't think so. Let me double
No?
check. I don't believe he does.
I think if he
John, you
did
can
get it,
Like, you don't have to stop talking.
yeah, sorry, I was waiting for you for some reason, but yeah, I think that also adds to Michael Jordan's lore. You know what I mean? Is he won 3 in a row, which at that time had never happened before.
No, it
Takes
did.
a break.
No, it had happened before.
Twice.
Who?
Lakers.
The Lakers is and the
Probably
Oh, the
Celtics.
I
Celtic.
want to say the Celtics, but I could be
Oh,
wrong. It could have been the Pistons.
I'm sorry. You're right. No, because he was saying Magic and Bird never won 3 in a row. They only won 2, and Isaiah, the bad boy Pistons, only won 2. So he was the first one out of those guys to get 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think he was saying.
Yeah,
And then
so the Lakers won 3 when they were in Minneapolis in 52.
oh,
Oh, wait a
okay.
minute.
So yeah. And I think the Celtics did it, right, with Bill Russell?
Yeah, the Celtics won like 17 in a row in the
Yeah, because
60s.
Bill's got 11 rings, I think.
I thought he had 15.
Nah, I think it's
Oh, did
11.
you say
11
Phil
is
or
the most.
Bill?
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell? I thought he had like 15. I thought it was some absurd number.
I don't know if it's 15. I think it's 11, but you
11,
might be
11
right.
is
I'm
the
not
top.
sure.
I'm looking right now.
But I don't know. That's such
Yeah,
a
he
I
he
think
does have 11.
but I think that adds to his lore is, he won 3, took a break, and then came back and won 3 more. And
Oh,
I think a lot of
so
people kind of go, what would have happened if he just stuck around? They
back
could
to
have gotten
wait,
killed,
boy,
but
back to Bill Russell. He
Mhm.
has 11 as a player and 2 as a coach.
Yeah, he was the coach of the
He was
Celtics,
a
right?
player coach the last 2 years. If I'm reading Wikipedia right, which I mean, it's Wikipedia, so who knows?
Well, there's the Lakers vs Celtics documentary series, the 30 for 30 touches on that, and it's really good about how they hated each other. And Bill Russell basically coached himself, so then he became the coach, I think, during Larry Bird's time, right?
No.
It wasn't Larry Bird's time
I mean, he could have been, but he didn't win a championship. He didn't win a
at the
championship
time.
then.
Okay.
Yeah, his only 2 coaching championships were 68 and 69, where he also won championships as a player, which
Well,
is very strange.
what do you think about Jordan and his
He is
mystique
watching a lot.
around basketball? Because obviously he was an incredible basketball player once he came in, but like he was so much more than that. He was bigger than the sport. He raised the popularity of the NBA. What did you guys think of that?
He
Yeah,
really made
Yeah.
the NBA like kind of what it was,
kind of what it
or
was.
like what it is now,
Well, had
basically.
made the shoes the most popular shoes on the planet. Still need to get
Yeah.
Jordans every once in a while.
Whoever that
Yeah.
that tennis agent was that was like, hey, we're gonna treat you like a tennis player and advertise you
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And it's like, first thing, shoes. And it's like, okay. Jordan's probably
That's
like,
a
yeah, whatever, fine.
Not even
that
like the shoes, just like what it did to the NBA game in general. Like it
Mm,
made it so big and like so worldwide. Like it expanded to so many more countries
yeah.
when he was by the time he was done.
well, that's probably another thing we need to talk about, or another documentary we need to have is the Nike and kind of the grow of Nike. Because at the time, I think Reebok was the number one American shoe
Converse was
company,
the shoe of.
Yeah,
or was it
Converse
Converse?
was the
They
shoe of
were
the
they were the
NBA,
official shoe.
And now
which
they're
is
owned by
wild.
Nike. Yeah,
Oh really?
yeah. Converse is owned by Nike now. They're a subdivision.
Huh.
Yeah. But
Yeah, Nike's
Jordan wanted
huge.
Adidas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because didn't they? They also ran the
He only went to
Superstars back then.
Nike. He only went to Nike because his mom told him to go and listen to what they had to
Well,
say.
based on that, he should listen to whatever that woman says ever.
Yeah.
I think he does.
He should.
What'd you
Mama
think
knows
of
everything.
What'd you think of the Jordan when his father passed away? One of the saddest moments of the documentary series
Very
when
sad.
they talked on that.
I mean, there's
Yes,
not
It
no.
really.
was sad.
It was. Yeah, it was sad.
I had heard
I
the
really don't know what else
theory
to say.
that Jordan owed gambling debts
Oh yeah, that
before,
was gambling. Yeah, that's
but I'm
fucking
glad they
wow.
shut it down in the documentary and said there's no validity to this. There's no evidence of that. It
No, it's
just
just
was a
people
freak accident.
speculating. Just like
Yeah,
when they
And to
said
be
like his
honest,
whole
if
baseball
Jordan
thing.
needed money, he could get the money for a bet.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think there's any validity in that. He's never strapping for cash.
yeah. Well, that goes along with the him playing baseball. They're like, oh, was it a secret 18-month suspension for gambling? They're like, no, it wasn't.
I don't think they would ever get rid of their star player for that.
Yeah,
I think at
during the
that time they
middle,
were
just
making
coming
way too
off
much. Yeah.
3 championships to be like, "Yeah, we're gonna suspend him for 18 months. Yeah, he can go fuck himself." Like, no, that's terrible. That hurts the game.
No, yeah, they wanted Michael Jordan. They needed him.
Yeah.
I think they would have swept it under the rug if anything.
Yeah,
Did you
exactly, like they do
guys
nowadays.
did you guys get some throughout the entire like documentary? Did you get some Rocky vibes?
What do you mean?
Kinda.
So he started out as the rookie. Yeah,
Mhm.
he didn't win for a while. Then when he finally got it, he was on top, and he stayed on top for a while. And then he did his thing with baseball. Then came back for the end of the season, and then had some Clubber Lang action and got knocked the fuck out. And then he
Oh,
had
and
to
then came
rebuild his
back.
whole personality, his body, and everything, and come back even stronger.
Do you want to take it one step further?
Go.
Both Rocky and him take a. This doesn't get touched on in the documentary, but both Rocky and him retire and then come back when they're way too old. And Michael plays for the Wizards and doesn't win, and Rocky fights that other guy when he's like
hmm
60, and Rocky Balboa.
I mean, you completely ignored the fact that Michael Jordan played against a Russian guy, and the Russian guy killed his friend.
Did he?
I don't know. I'm just trying to make parallels.
It makes good movie, John. Come
I
on
thought
now.
for a second he was telling the truth. I was like, wow, that is really parallel. I didn't even think of that.
No, but
I
yeah,
didn't
he
even
has
know.
his start as an amateur, or not an amateur, his early pro years
Yeah,
trying
like
to
his
prove
rookie
himself.
rookie first couple
Then the
years.
drop. Then he built himself back up, stronger than ever.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's one thing that doesn't get touched on is we think of, especially now, we kind of build up Michael Jordan's legacy and go, oh, Michael won on his own, because we talk about super teams nowadays in the NBA,
Mhm.
but we forget that Michael won when Scottie Pippen really showed up. Scottie was his perfect, Robin to his Batman,
Mhm.
and he had a bunch of really great, he had Horace Grant early in his career. So he had a bunch of really good players to help him out, Steve Kerr.
Mhm.
So, and I'm glad they kind of touched on that in the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, the starting 5 of those first 3 championships very well could all be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
With John Paxson, Jordan, Pippen, Horace Grant, and then I think the big man was either Oakley or Bill Cartwright, which
Cartwright.
they might not be. It was Cartwright.
Yeah, he was there,
I
I
don't
think, the
know.
whole time.
Well, they traded Oakley, but that might have been earlier. And then the second 5
I think they
was
treated
also
Oakley before they won because didn't he go to the? Was
yeah, he's
that
on the Knicks.
he went on to the Knicks after that,
Yeah.
right?
Why?
Yeah.
Bro, it's New York.
But I thought they
It's
had
the
Ewing.
mecca of basketball. Yeah, they play different positions. Ewing's a
Oh,
center. Oakley was
I
a
thought he was a big man.
power forward. Yeah, they're both big man.
Oh.
Or vice versa. Oakley was a center and Ewing was a power forward, or
Mhm.
other way around. I don't remember.
Yes.
But one thing this documentary also did was shed light on just how great of a person Dennis Rodman is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really is a really good person, and I think he
Because
gets a
every
bad
time you
rap for
think
what
of
he
it,
does.
yeah, he's just like this wild, outrageous character. But like, no, this man was just living the dream, like
Dude was
living
just
his
literally a
dream.
hippie.
Yeah.
Do you
And
think
like
we should?
people accepted that, which was great. Like Phil Jackson completely accepted it. Like they vibed together over the Native American stuff.
Yeah.
Like Jordan knew, like do whatever you want, like chill off the court, you on the court. He knew he was focused. Like that's
Mhm.
awesome.
I mean, the media today would never let Dennis Rodman get away with
Oh
that. They would kill
God,
him.
no.
Do you think that should be a lesson to be learned to let players kind of relax as long as they show up on game day? You know what I mean? Like, does it
Yeah.
matter?
Leave in the middle of a playoff series to go shoot a promo for NWO and WWE with Hulk Hogan? Yeah, hell yeah.
Wild.
That was
I
crazy.
started laughing during that.
That was my favorite.
He just took off. I mean, that
Yeah.
was.
And
I
then
mean,
after Pippen came back from his injury, when Rodman was being all like clean cut, like straightforward guy, he just goes, "Yo, I need a vacation. Give me 2 days in Vegas, or give me a day in Vegas," and spends like 4 days there.
yeah, it was with
And then
Carmen
Jordan
Electra.
barges in
Yeah.
and is like, and then Carmen Electra is laying in the bed.
I mean, Dennis Rodman dated back in the day. There was a bunch of high level celebrities he was dating. I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, Dennis Rodman's like the ideal basketball player for me,
I
Yo,
guess
which is
so.
fantastic. You just play defense and get rebounds. You don't care about anything else.
I just, that makes me think that players should be let to relax and do what they got to do. If they do it, if they show up on game day, who cares what they're doing off the field? I guess as
Yeah.
long as it's not,
As long as it's not like destructive and
criminally,
like
yeah.
criminal. Yeah.
As long as it's just like going to Vegas, like what does it matter? Like a lot of people
Yeah.
kill Odell for the boat trip before the playoff game, and if he showed up for the playoff game, I think a lot of people would have forgiven it. But
Yeah, it would have been a different
Did he
scenario.
show up
I
for the
mean,
playoff game?
he didn't show up for the playoff game. He
Well,
dropped a
then
few.
that's his fault.
Well, he showed up, like he was physically
Oh no,
there.
he
I
was
But
know,
there.
but
Yeah,
did he show up?
no.
no.
But there was, I mean, in his defense, there was some passes that were just kind of out of his reach, and everyone was like, "Oh, if he didn't go on the boat trip, he would have made that." And
Yeah,
you
people
don't
are
know
always
that.
gonna say that sort of stuff,
Mm.
though.
Yeah. What's another thing? Another thing they kind of talk about, I think, is do you feel bad for the general manager or do you hate the general manager, Jerry Krause?
He needed to be what he was. He needed to be the villain, and he needed to be a businessman
Yeah.
in that situation.
Jason, what do you think? Do you
I think that is a fair point to make. But I mean, he's still like they probably could have won another championship in '99.
I feel really bad for him because I think he doesn't get enough credit because he was kind of made out to be the villain from day one. It was shown that like he wants to break up, he wants to fire Phil Jackson and move on, and that's kind of the theme of the documentary series. And you kind of see, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen making fun of this guy for his physical appearance, for everything. Now I don't know what the guy did. Maybe he did something incredibly terrible behind the scenes. He said some things. I don't know how he was, but just the way it seemed like it just seemed very cruel. And I would hate to be in that position where, I'm the general manager, I assemble this team, and I can't get rid of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen because they're winning me championships, but they're just verbally abusing me every single day I go to work. That's a pretty tough work environment to be in.
Well, even Scotty at the end of the last episode, he
Mhm.
was like, "Yeah, he, as much as we didn't like him, he was still the guy that like brought us all together. So, gotta give him
Yeah,
some credit."
They gave him the recognition.
and
Well,
that's
maybe
the
not all the credit he deserved, but
that's the problem with general managers and front office people is they can be good and bad. They make the right calls some of the time, the bad calls. He knew to bring in Scotty. He knew to bring in Dennis Rodman. And whatever faults Scotty and Michael want to blame him for getting the Croatian guy, that was a good pickup that helped him win games in the end.
he's a very good basketball player.
Yeah, he's a very good basketball player. So he certainly had an eye for talent, and maybe he wanted to break up the team too early, but
Definitely.
yeah, I think he probably handled it poorly at the end, but I don't know if that's maybe because of all the verbal abuse. Maybe he was just sick and tired of it, and he said, "This is my window of opportunity to move on." I couldn't say, but
I mean, better to go off on top
yeah, I think that's the perfect way for Michael to go out, with that
and then come
shot.
back later.
I mean, he went with the Wizards, and no one counts the Wizard time. You know what I mean? It's not like he came back to the Bulls.
Yeah, that's true. He knew better.
He's
The
like
Bulls were
somebody who
terrible.
walked into a restaurant. I was like, "Yeah, this food's aight, but I'm gonna buy the restaurant."
Yeah. Well, apparently the reason he played for the Wizards was because he owned the Wizards, right? Or he was a partial owner? Correct me if I'm
I
wrong,
think he still
Jason.
owns
Do you
He
it, right?
might have. No, he owns the Hornets.
Yeah, he owns the Hornets now.
Charlotte Hornets.
But he owned the team, and I guess he went to a practice with them, scraped them, said, "Oh, I can still play," and came back.
That's such a move.
Because apparently he was trying to help them, and it was just like, "Oh, you guys are bums," and came back to play. So,
Only
there's only Jordan. I mean, and he said in his retirement speech, "Don't be surprised if I come back at 50." So when he was around 50, that was around when LeBron was in Miami,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of talk like maybe he can come back and help the Miami Heat win a championship and be like a role player.
What if he did?
But that would have been crazy. Could you imagine if that happened?
Ugh.
I mean, you would have had D Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Ray Allen.
John, you were correct.
What's that?
He was a part owner and president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards.
Thanks, man. I listen.
Wow, it's very impressive.
Yeah,
What, I get
No,
no
that's a
credit
like
for knowing who the Wizards are?
I don't know. They had a very, very bad team. They used their first pick in the 2001 draft to draft Kwame Brown, who was
Uh,
not good.
yeah. I don't even know who that is.
John knows all about bad draft picks.
I
He
do.
does.
We can get into
Interesting.
it. I have a. We can probably get into it later about that. What you're trying to feed me into. So what do you think about the book that came out with Michael Jordan that was kind of
Oh,
exposed
the
his
Jordan
gambling
rules.
habits? Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was the Jordan rules was the Pistons rules for playing. Was it called the Jordan rules?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the book was called the Jordan Rules.
Oh, it was also called that. Okay.
Yeah.
So that because that's been something that's been talked about in the media, and Horace Grant
It's gambling.
feels really he feels some type of way in the media right now that Michael Jordan called him out, and he says it's not him. He wasn't the one that snitched on the team. So I don't really know who to believe. I don't know if it's Michael or Horace, but that was kind of an
You'll never
example
know.
where
That's one of the things you'll never know.
I don't think Michael Jordan and Horace Grant really liked each other very much, which is fine. They're teammates. They don't have to be best friends. I'm not going to kill him for that. But I think it might have been one of those things where Mike didn't like Horace Grant. So as soon as that book came out, it was perfect to kind of blame Horace Grant. You know, oh, I don't like him. He doesn't like me. It's obviously him. And he just made it up in his mind. I think that's possible. I don't know if that's necessarily what happened. It definitely could be Horace Grant, but
It's probably a mixture of a lot of people.
yeah,
I'm sure you can't write a whole book on what one person's interaction with this guy.
no, I'm sure. And I think that's really unfair also to Michael Jordan because just because he's a hard teammate, he wins, you know? That doesn't make you a bad teammate. He clearly has a bunch of teammates that loved and respected him just because a few didn't like it and decided to trash him in the media for it doesn't make them right, you know?
Hmm. He even
So,
said it himself. He's like, I get the results I want to get out of the people I'm
exactly.
working with.
And, all the great players
How he
really
gets them,
demand. I'm sorry, Jason?
said some people don't like how he gets the results, but he gets them.
Exactly. And I guess that's the thing is if you don't like the results or if you don't like what's happening, you can leave.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
you're allowed to leave and voice your opinion and voice your disbelief. But at the end of the day, if they win, what does it matter? Is there any other things you want to talk about with The Last Dance? Any other things that surprise you?
I
Things you
don't think
love
so.
seeing? No? You want to get
No.
into the players of today's era that we think represent Michael Jordan, or
Yeah, why not?
All right. Now I got a handful of players here. Now I got a few that I think are kind of absurd, but I wanted to make the case. I got one that I know you
Can
guys
you
are going to
reiterate the
disagree with.
topic? We're doing
Player
We think
players
best.
closest to Jordan. You know what I
in their
mean? Like
respective sports, or
Yeah,
yeah, in their respective sports.
okay, cool.
But
Let me pull up my notes.
I think it's really tough.
Oh my notes.
Should we take LeBron and Kobe off the board right now because that's a debate that everyone's kind of been having. They both have
They're
their
not
reasons
LeBron,
for
or
being.
they're not the Michael Jordan. They're their own people.
Well,
Yeah.
but I think they're the continuation of Michael. You know what I mean? They were the face of the NBA at their time, and
Well,
I
if you're
just
just
meant to
picking
like
faces of the NBA, we're talking about somebody who's just so completely dominant in their sport.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
for instance, take Simone Biles.
Mm,
Oh, I saw
Guinness.
that one. You
Yeah.
want to go with that one?
She's this is one of my picks. I have like 12. She
Okay.
The pure dominance that this woman is in the sport
Yeah.
of gymnastics is ridiculous. She
Oh
has a
yeah.
combined total of 30 Olympic and World Championship medals.
Absolutely.
And
That's
I
ridiculous.
have no idea how old she is. She's 23.
I was gonna
These are
say I
like
think
people are
she's
done at the
fairly
age of like 16. She could still compete and win today. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I would want to
yeah.
push back against that, but I don't think I can because I think in the world of gymnastics, she's just as inspirational as Michael Jordan is. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
based
she
on
gets
like how many like sponsors and everything, like she's
Yeah,
just
she's a huge
that
name.
popular and
Yeah,
that
she's
well
all
known.
over the place. Kind of
Jason,
similarity to Usain Bolt in the track world.
I also have Usain Bolt on my list, so I'm glad you said it.
Well,
I mean, he's
I'd like
got
to bring up a counterpoint to this in the world
yes,
of track
please.
and field. Michael Johnson.
Yes, but his is all tainted because of the steroids.
What steroids?
Didn't he get tested? Am I thinking of a different person?
No, you're thinking of the other sprinter, the one from Canada.
Yeah, it was,
Michael Johnson is the 200 and 400 runner.
Yeah,
He
I'm almost
brought
positive.
he did the Michael thing and made track and field just popular to like everyone, and just made it much more accessible to people in the world.
I don't know who he is, so
He's really fast.
He had the 400 record.
Up until like a year ago.
Nah, longer than a year ago, or
okay.
less. Like the 2016 Olympics.
All
I
right.
thought he was the one that got hit with
He's from Canada, right?
steroids.
No, he's American.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one's American. I could have
Um,
sworn.
We'll talk
Maybe
off
I am
screen about it.
the
John,
Canadian
what else
one.
you got?
all right. So you went with Usain Bolt, obviously, because of his dominance. I got one more that I think is an obvious one, and that's Michael Phelps. Not only was he dominant in his respective sport,
Can't
he,
argue that.
destroyed the competition, but he also brought swimming to the forefront of, discussion, and people started paying attention to swimming in the time, and that's not something easy to talk about. So I think Michael Phelps is probably a really good one to talk about. Justin, what do you got next?
So, of course, I'm going to go with the phenom, Timo Boll, the table tennis player from Germany. Filthy. This man puts on a spectacle every time he steps onto the table. And
I think
he's a very famous table tennis player, and he is a joy to watch because he doesn't just play well, he plays with flair and lets anyone who hasn't played table tennis get into it.
I can't believe we went with table tennis. I don't
got
even want to
better.
worry about that. All right. Jason, what do you got? You got another one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with current day Alex Ovechkin. He's
Okay.
He's an older looking me. I mean, he's
Is this the
super
hockey?
dominant. Yeah, this is hockey. He is super dominant. Like
The only thing
he
I would
pass. What were you gonna say, John?
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, Jason, but the only thing I would say is, didn't he just win last year? It was his first championship.
Yeah,
And
so he honestly doesn't have the championship
yeah,
resume, but like he
what I
has everything else.
what I would say is, isn't he someone who got knocked off because of Sidney Crosby, who kind of kept him at bay?
Not necessarily, because I don't think Sidney Crosby has many championships. He might have two. I
The
don't
only thing
know.
I'm saying is, I remember Sidney Crosby and him kind of going at it, and I thought Sidney Crosby
Yeah,
wants.
that's like a very like that was a big
Well, that's
back and forth because they came in the league around the same time.
what I
So
was
like
saying.
those two were comparisons.
And if you're
Like
picking
Michael
Michael Jordans of hockey, why would you not pick Gretzky?
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking like guys that are playing now.
Oh, today. So you're saying
Yeah,
current
that's
athletes.
current athletes. That's what I'm
Like
looking at.
Matt Frazier, who won
Yes.
the CrossFit Games in 2016,
Those don't
2017,
count.
2018, and 2019. He couldn't win
Those
this
don't
year
count.
only because of a virus.
Okay.
Those
Well,
don't count.
I got one that I think is, he's a little bit older too, but I think his name kind of was at the forefront of his own sport, and that's Dale Earnhardt Sr., who tragically passed away during a race. But I think at his time he was kind of bigger than his sport and was the face of his sport at that time. And
Yeah.
any disagreements?
I'll give you
I mean,
that
he was
one 'cause
dominant.
everyone knows who Dale was, even before
before the car crash.
Yeah, you knew it's Dale.
And he's kind of a legend of the sport still. So
yeah. If you want to talk about legends of the sports, though, let's talk about Jahangir Khan.
oh god,
He's from Pakistan. He had an incredible run where he won 555 squash matches in a row. You
Gross.
tell me anyone with a professional streak of that. No.
So I think Justin really went for the dominant in their own sport category, and I went for bigger than life in their own sport
This man
category.
is bigger than life. He pocketed the World Open 6 times and the British Open a record 10 times.
Oh, you really did some research on this.
Justin
Yes.
or Jason, do you have another one?
Yeah, I will say the last one I have that going back to he doesn't have the championships, but it's not all his fault, is Mike Trout. He will be the greatest baseball player that lives when he retires.
Okay, that's fair.
There's no argument. I mean, he doesn't have championships, but
I will
he is
argue.
by far the greatest
baseball
baseball player.
What do you
please
got?
What do you have to argue a baseball player?
Who do I have? None other than Rube Waddle.
Oh God.
The Rube. At a time
Oh,
when Cy Young was pitching in the league, he was leading the league in pitching categories. You know, Cy Young, the guy who they
you had
invented
the
the
award is the name
awards for
after.
pitching for. This man was beating him. The only thing that held him back was like crocodile wrestling and marrying many women for no reason.
All right, I got a few more players that I want to name off before we get to Justin. How many more ridiculous players do you have?
3.
3 more. All right, let me get out of the way. No, you name your 3, and then I'll name my obvious ones. Because Jason, you're done, right?
Yeah,
You
I don't have
any
any more. I didn't feel
Okay.
like writing.
I have
down. I just
one.
lost it in my head.
Well, who's your next one? Are you gonna say Tiger Woods?
I do have Tiger Woods. Yeah, I was
Okay,
gonna say
well, I have one
Tiger.
to compete against that because, of course, it is none other than Kim Jong Il, who had a perfect 18 out of 18 holes.
Oh,
the
God.
First time ever playing. You tell me, can you confirm that this is false?
Can you confirm that that's true?
I don't have to. You have to prove me
On
wrong.
to the next one.
All right, so some obvious ones I got. I was gonna say Tiger. I also have Serena Williams, who's an obvious dominant force in her sport. I also have Floyd Mayweather because he hasn't lost yet. One more I think that is kind of obscure, but I think this might have to be compared to is Mike Tyson. What do you think?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say another name.
No, I got.
I'd have to look into him because I don't know really his like records and how he was. I know he was a spectacle to watch.
Tyson.
Well, he was kind of bigger than life. You know, everyone knew his name. Once he got in the ring, he killed people. You know what I mean? He was just that good.
Yeah.
Went away, obviously went to prison for a little while, came back,
It has a
dominant
great
again.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my, similar kind of pathway, I guess. If
Speaking of dominance, of course, you have to mention, Takeru Kobayashi.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna play Joey Chestnut.
No. Listen.
Okay.
Just because his records have been beaten, just as LeBron has beaten Jordan's records, who made the hot dog eating competition worldwide phenomena?
That is very fair, yes. And I believe he also was the first Triple Crown of eating. Kobayashi.
I love how you know this offhand. I thought you were going to pick Joey Chestnut. That's why I was ready for a battle.
No, I didn't even think of Joey Chestnut.
Yeah.
Justin,
Joey Chestnut's the LeBron of the hot dog eating competition world.
Because if we're talking on that of what Kobayashi made it to be, it's now this huge spectacle.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I agree with that.
This is my last obscure, but actually now that I've been sitting on it, it kind of makes sense. So what is Michael Jordan?
Yes.
He took something that was either relatively popular or something and made it. He was such a larger than life character, such a dominant person in the sport, huge personality. It was great. Who else was that? A little Austrian boy named Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Who took bodybuilding and then just who would have thought bodybuilding would have went anywhere if it wasn't for this man?
That's fair.
You know what? I'll give you that one. That one's pretty good.
Thank you.
That one's pretty good.
Good choice. Good choice.
Justin, I'm kind of surprised you didn't go here. Jason, I want to hear if you want to disagree with this one, but I got Tom Brady. 6 rings.
As sad as I don't want to agree with it, I kind of have to because
I don't agree with it.
You don't agree with it? Really? Why?
I would say who's the whatchamacallit quarterback from Miami? Marino?
Dan Marino.
Oh, Marino.
I think Dan Marino would be the Michael Jordan. As far as personality wise, Tom Brady doesn't, to me, he's a very vanilla human being.
Well, he's on all the stuff. You know what I mean? Okay, so you're saying you want to say, God, I just blinked on the name.
So if you want to go,
Tom Brady's the Wilt Chamberlain of football.
All right, well, I got one more football name.
I would go with Peyton Manning.
Yeah, bigger than life.
I'd agree with that.
Pretty dominant.
He's a face that everyone knows. He's always out there doing shit. He's a hell of a football player.
And like a good neighbor, he's always there.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, Justin. This one I know is crazy. All right, I'm doing this a little bit because I'm a little biased as a fan, but I want to make an argument for this. No, I want to make this argument. All right,
Oh,
and
okay.
I think this is a little fair. So
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers, I think, is Jordan if Jordan never got Pippen. So I think Jordan obviously had a lot of help in the front office that made him, obviously he was already a dominant force, but he was getting knocked out in the playoffs before he got help. Kind of like how Aaron Rodgers hasn't had a defense to help him win in the playoffs. He'll go to the divisional round or the championship round or even lose in the wild card round, but that's because he hasn't really had a defense to help him out. I think he has an inept front office in Green Bay that hasn't really, contrary to where Chicago was able to make smart decisions to bring in Dennis Rodman, a controversial figure at the time, but they knew that they can make him a great player. Similar to how Tom Brady has a really good front office that knows to get certain players that fit their system. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has ever really had that. Now, I also make this comparison. I think you can all agree, whether or not you think Aaron Rodgers is the best player of all time, Aaron Rodgers has another gear, that all the greats have. Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, whatever. Whenever you think like they're out of the game, they always have a way to just kind of click and take over. And I don't think that's debatable. You could talk about the Dallas game, the Hail Marys in Arizona, and Detroit, whatever it is. I think Aaron Rodgers kind of took over for that. So I think Aaron Rodgers is kind of similar to Jordan also in there was articles that came out last year that he's a little bit of an asshole to his teammates. He's very hard on his wide receiver core. He demands the best, kind of similar to how Jordan is, how he's very hard on his players because he holds them to his standard, which I think is the same kind of situation. Like I think Aaron Rodgers has the same mindset as Jordan. He wants to win at all costs. He wants to make as much money as possible. So a lot of people kill Aaron Rodgers for always going for the highest contract. But I think that kind of has to deal with setting a precedent in the NFL because if you are the highest paid player, that means players who kind of get closer to you also have to get paid. And it kind of helps out other players in the league at that position. So I want to make the case that I think Aaron Rodgers is similar to Jordan without maybe the Super Bowl championships because I think he's had a front office that hasn't helped him in the way that Jordan had to help.
Two things.
I'm gonna vote bullshit on that defense because they had a top 10 defense this year, John.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. According to
15th.
Football Reference.
No, they had a top 10 defense in passing defense, but they did not have a top 10 defense
So
in rush
I
defense.
looked at total defense, and they were top 10 in takeaways with 25.
Yeah, but you have to look at their run defense is what got run over. You have to remember they Jimmy Garoppolo only threw
Oh yeah, I
8
know. I
passes.
know they ran all over him.
Yeah, that's the thing is they only had one top 10 defense and that was in 2009. And then after that, he's only had one Super Bowl win. He hasn't had a really good just now is when they're finally getting a good defense.
That's the problem. He's just not good enough.
Binder, tell me if I'm wrong here. And I say this as a
Shoot.
compliment. I don't think Rodgers is the Michael Jordan of football. I would consider him the Allen Iverson of football.
Kind of great, but maybe doesn't have the championship pedigree.
He's great, but doesn't have the either
The
bad luck or
championships.
something
Yeah,
happens.
That's fair.
yeah. I mean,
That's a fair
because
comparison.
you look at the playoffs that Aaron Rodgers has been in, and the times he's lost, it's in overtime when he doesn't get the ball back or certain situations like that. Now, I know that's an apologist, but I
Or
think
they get ran over.
well, they got run over because they don't,
Steamrolled.
their defense. He doesn't play defense. Look at Patrick
Well, he should.
Mahomes, who
He
won the
should play
Super Bowl.
defense.
He should play defense.
That's his problem.
But I think
Throw
we
him
can
out there
all.
at safety. Throw him out there a linebacker.
No, they
Problem
needed
solved.
defensive line. But I think, Patrick Mahomes didn't play well in the Super Bowl, but because his defense kept him kind of in it, Patrick Mahomes was kind of able to make his comeback in the second half, which Aaron Rodgers, if you remember, put up more than 20 points in the second half. But because the defense let it get out of control so quick, they weren't able to win it. That's just my argument. I know that's crazy. I know he's not the Jordan of the NFL.
I'll give him Iverson.
Yeah.
It's probably fair. I mean, if Rodgers was able to maybe make 2 more Super Bowl appearances or win 2 more.
Karl Malone.
Nah, because Karl Malone doesn't have a ring. Rodgers has a ring.
Yeah, but
Malone
Iverson
does
doesn't
not
have
have a ring.
Who has one title? And that's filthy in basketball.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe you want to say like
You want superstars with NBA superstars with one title.
Yeah, but it's also not fair because one player can take over a game in the NBA, whereas the NFL, you need an entire team to do well in order to win, you know?
Yeah, basically.
So, I don't know. That was just my argument. I threw it out there as a fan. I don't think it was bad. I think it was an okay take.
think
You
it
know
was
what I mean?
bad.
It wasn't a crazy take.
Just, you know what? I don't think I cannot think of an NBA superstar with just one title. They either have none or multiple. Because I mean, all the greats from back then, like the Birds, the Magic, the Ewings, the Barkley. Well, those are different, but like Ewing, Barkley, Malone, Stockton, like they all have no titles. They've never won.
Iverson doesn't have a title, right?
No,
I don't think so,
they never
no.
won.
Yeah.
They lost to the Lakers.
That's all I got, though. I wanted to make that last one. But I think my list was pretty good other than that. Because I had Phelps, Earnhardt, Usain Bolt, Serena Williams, Mayweather, Tyson, Tiger, Brady.
Yeah.
I don't remember half the people I just said before.
Because you went one way with your list.
And that's the podcast, everybody.
Well,
All right,
funny is I
sticking
knew
around.
most of the people
7-hour
that I had,
podcast.
except like 2.
Well, if you guys disagree with our list, if you want to email in your players that you think most closely resemble Mike Jordan of their respective sports, email in at hottakesandbeerbreaks@gmail.com. Follow us at Hot Takes and Beer Breaks at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. You can also comment on any of the pictures, any of the videos, anything, and we'll read them out. Maybe if we get a bunch of responses, we can talk about it. If you liked one list over the other, I'm sure Justin's list is going to be a huge sell.
Well, that's a fan
Hot take.
favorite, of course.
He went with hot takes on that one. But thanks for listening. I think that's the podcast for this week, right?
Yeah, definitely. All 17 hours of it.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.